Hi, I'm Martin Rappaport, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the Ravaport group of companies. You're very important to us, as are all of our team members, because what you do represents who we are to the world around us. So let's take a look at the Rappaport values. Ethical, transparent, competitive, efficient markets. That's what we do. We create a new world around the diamond industry. The first point is ethical, which means that we will only deal with ethical people and ethical products. The second point is that we promote transparency in the diamond industry in a way that also supports competition. And so you think about it, if someone wants to sell a diamond or buy a diamond, if they can see numerous buyers or numerous sellers, they can get a fair deal, commonly called fair market value. So if you take transparency and competition and you bring them together, you get a fair, honest price. And that's what people would like to know about. And that's a real added value service to the world and to the diamond community. And finally, you have to be efficient. Because you can't be sustainable, even if you're doing the right thing, if you're wasteful or you're not really doing things in the right way. So how did the Ravaport Group start? What's our history? I started working in Belgium as an apprentice cleaver and a diamond sorter, and I got to the point where I could prepare goods for customers. And then it was time to go to the United States. So I went off to Miami, Florida, Miami Beach, where I was born, actually. We've always had a house. And I was afraid to do any business in Miami because of all the drug dealers. So I was afraid I would get killed. So instead, I went across the Okeechobee Swamp to the west coast of Florida, to a city called Naples. I remember I always used to stop at the first jeweler, Paul Schmidt. And I knocked on doors. I had a red book which showed me the names of all the top jewelers in these different cities. I went from Naples to St. Pete to Tampa. And I went literally up the West Coast. And what I would do is I would rent a car. I would go to Naples. I'd jump up to St. Pete, which is like 2 towns up. I'd change cars. I'd go back, and then I'd go back up again. So I'd be hopscotching across because people would see me walking into jewelry stores. And I figured maybe they would, they'd try to knock me off and grab my diamonds. And I would have diamonds on my personal body, and I would sit there with the jeweler and I'd show the diamonds. And so I began as a salesman knocking on doors selling diamonds, and I had good connections, so I had good prices. And it wasn't very easy because people were regularly buying from their existing customers. And I remember Paul Schmidt, and he got so annoyed at me. He was like a German guy that had been in Naples, one of the wealthiest communities out there in the west coast of Florida. And I'd always stop in his store. He was the first store as you crossed from east to west coast of Florida. And one day he got so annoyed at me. He says, "Why do you keep coming in here?" I said, "Listen, I will show you, if you look at my goods once, just once, and if you don't buy anything, I'll never bother you again." And he came in and he said, okay. And I showed him goods and I sold them, and I sold them the whole time. Okay, so we're knocking on doors, we're trying to sell diamonds, and then I'm back in New York and people keep asking me, what's the price of this? What's the price of that? A lot of information, and I had worked on differential analysis when I was in university, on an IBM 360, believe it or not, to analyze what's the difference in price between sizes, between colors, between clarities, between shapes. And I built a model. And that became the Rappaport price list. And the bottom line was that this information was valuable. We started publishing the Rappaport price list in 1978. And at that time, people didn't know about computers. They didn't have fax machines. They didn't have cell phones. There was no internet. And so we're out there providing pricing information in a matrix format. And at first they laughed at me, and then they started to use that information. Diamond markets were in a very strong upswing. And that was because of all kinds of external economic forces. In any case, we were publishing prices. And then came the issue of, my gosh, the diamond prices were crashing. They were crashing because interest rates became very high. And no one wanted to keep diamonds or buy diamonds. And this became a huge problem because they told me to stop publishing. When I say they told me to stop publishing, I'm referring to the World Federation of Diamond Bourses, who passed a resolution that said no one's allowed to publish diamond prices. And so, of course, I continued publishing. And, of course, they threw me out of the New York Diamond Dealers Club. And that was really a moment of testing. Do you really believe in what you're doing? And do you want to stay with really telling the truth out there even when prices go down? And I stuck with it. And we had bomb threats. I wore a bulletproof vest for about 3 years. I really believed in what I was doing, and my wife supported me in that as well. And so what happened was we became very well known as a company with tremendous integrity who tells the truth no matter what. And then as the prices started to develop, people started to say, well, why are the prices going up? Why are they going down? And that became part of the Rapaport magazine. And so what we started to do is we started to give people information about the markets. And then that evolved into the Rapaport magazine with advertising. But the magazine also opened up a whole new world of understanding as to what was going on, why it was going on. And we did some incredible things with the magazine. Performs a function of not just information, but we are advocates. We are advocates for a free and fair diamond trade. We are advocates for honesty and integrity in the diamond industry. And there's lots of evidence to that. So we have a voice, and we have a very strong voice. And everyone watches us, so if you're an employee of the Ravaport Group, you really want to be sure that you're up to Rappaport and that what you do is correct. So anyway, so now we're publishing information, but in order to do the Rappaport prices, we're collecting information. We're collecting all kinds of information about what people are selling, what the prices they're asking. And you couldn't get actually prices of people were going to actually pay for the goods, because that was a secret. No one wanted anyone to know the price they bought it at because they wanted to sell at a profit. And transaction prices also weren't available. But what was available were asking prices. Everybody wants to sell something. And so I took these index cards and I started writing down the different types of products, and writing down who was the seller and stuff. And I maintained a database on index cards. This is before computers, actually, before computers that you could afford. And those index cards became a data source. And I built a screen up on my bulletin board there with rope, with string, and it had D, E, F, G, H, I, F, VVS1, VVS2, VS1, VS2. And I had some very nice young women from Stern College at the time working with me. And I said, listen, anytime someone calls and wants to buy a stone, put in a red thing, little red pins, little pins. Anytime someone wants to sell, put in a green one. When you sell it, you see a green one and a red one, get on the phone, do a deal. And in fact, I taught these young women to become brokers and to sell diamonds. The idea was that we knew about the market. We were the first people to create the first database. By democratizing the information and being transparent, people could trade with each other. Hence came RapNet. Today, the world's largest diamond trading network, with about $7.5 billion worth of diamonds offered for sale. I mean, I'm talking now in 2018. Who knows where it's going to go? But it is the largest and the most important diamond trading network in the world. And RapNet is about three things. First of all, you get a lot of pricing transparency because you can see what people are selling for. The diamonds that are offered in RapNet are then ranked. You can do a search and it's going to give you the less expensive first and then the next less expensive, sort of like Expedia. But then it's also a source for actually finding the diamond. You can see who the owner is. You can go onto RapNet, you can look for a diamond, you can see the price, and then you can click and send the person an email. There's no brokerage commission. It's a wide open, transparent market where everybody can communicate with everybody else. And then finally, and maybe this is the most important message of RapNet, RapNet is a community of people. It's people who can trust each other. It's the real essence of what the diamond business is about, which is the people who can work together. So if someone doesn't pay his bills, or someone takes a diamond in a memorandum and doesn't return it, we throw them off. If someone deals in diamonds that are not in the correct way, like diamonds from Zimbabwe or diamonds that are involved in human rights abuses, we'll throw them off the network. And so RapNet is a very strong community today. It's about 16,000 people who are all experts in the diamond trade, who are all sharing information, who are working together. So we charge a subscription fee. There is no commissions or anything on RapNet. How could you possibly have a trading network for diamonds if there's no way to describe the product? So in about I think it was about 1996, I came to Israel and I said, you know what? Let's represent the Gemological Institute of America in Israel. Now, the Gemological Institute of America is the #1 diamond grading laboratory in the world. They're a fantastic business and they're good guys. And I said, listen, instead of sitting in America, why don't we get Israeli diamond manufacturers? Those days they were still manufacturing in Israel. I said, why don't we get them to make the GIA grading reports right here in Israel? And it was amazing because it opened up the market in a very powerful way. You see, before that time, buyers would come to Israel. They'd look at a diamond, they'd say, it's a G color. It was really an F. But the seller never really knew, and there was a lot of uncertainty about the color and the clarity of the diamond. Comes Ravaport into the market and says, listen, If you give me your diamonds, I'll ship them to the United States, I'll have them graded, I'll bring them back to you, and then you will have a diamond with a GIA diamond grading report. Now the diamond with the GIA grading report became very powerful because I removed the whole question of the uncertainty of the quality of the diamond. Once the diamond had a diamond grading report, there was no uncertainty about the quality because everyone accepted the quality. If a dealer from New York or California bought the diamond in Israel and he had the grading report, the buyer in America accepted that. The jeweler accepted it and the consumer accepted it. We were handling $2-3 billion a year of diamonds back and forth to the GIA. And that's basically the essence of how Rappaport laboratories were really working. And now we grade diamonds ourselves, and we also represent the GIA, the HRD, the AGS, pretty much any decent, honest laboratory. And of course, we took this business to India as well. And then I was sitting back, I think it was a jewelry show around 2000, 2002, whatever. And I said, you know, we're working here and we're doing things, but there's a lot of people in America that are getting older. I'm a baby boomer, which means I was born in 1952. And so for a lot of you, it means I'm ancient. In 1968, a 1-carat D flawless was $1,300. Okay, $1,300 was a lot of money in those days. But people got nice jewelry. And now these people are in their 70s. And they want to send their grandchildren to college. And they want to resell that jewelry. And I predicted that there was going to be a lot of people that were going to be reselling that jewelry. Because, you know, diamonds are forever, but people aren't. And there's a lot of grandmothers out there that want to send their children or grandchildren to college and get them to use that money. But the market wasn't there. So I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to create auctions. And we're going to create like a silent auction business where we will accept goods from all kinds of people. We will put them up for sale in the New York market. And we will let people look at them and give a high bid. And that high bid, we will communicate it to the seller. And the seller can decide whether he wants to sell the diamond or whether they just want the diamond back. No one's being forced to do anything. And this business is taken off. It's a very important business for the Ravaport Group. Fair market value is really what we're doing when we talk about Rapaport auctions. Now, just to review, the Ravaport price list, transparency, democratizes price information from the internal markets all around the world. RapNet, electronic trading networks, provide specific information not just about prices, but availability. Who exactly has what, and a frictionless environment to go, and a community. GIA and RapLab services, grading diamonds, telling the truth about what the diamond is. Also, even more transparency that promotes competition. And finally, Rapaport auctions, which is creating an environment where people can get fair market value for their products that they normally couldn't. So those are some of the base products of Rapaport. We have a lot more products that are coming in as well. And I should also mention Rapaport Information Services because that is a good part of who we are. So we have offices all around the world in all the major markets. So we have an office in Las Vegas, which is really about customer service. New York, which is a major trading center, which we are interfacing with the entire United States market. We do trading in New York, research in New York. Antwerp, Belgium. Ramat Gan, Israel. Jerusalem, where we run our IT teams. Mumbai, where we have a large operation grading diamonds as well with the GIA and trading. Surat, India, which is about 400,000 diamond cutters out there. About 90% of the world's diamonds are cut out there. So we're right in Surat. We're one of the few, I think we're the only American diamond company in Surat. And then Dubai, which is an open market that we have to be in because India charges 5% imports for diamonds, and we need to show the diamonds, and Hong Kong. So this is our global reach. Now, all of these businesses are going deeper and doing more. So the Ravaport Group looks to triple the size of our environment over the next couple of years, growing every one of our businesses, becoming a digital presence in the world much more than just the magazine, moving into RapX, which is a bid-ask transaction market for diamonds, moving into gemological services, not just grading reports, and moving into a world where we're auctioning and we're buying and selling things for the marketplace in a transparent, competitive manner. And finally, there's a lot of services that we've had to grow to make all this possible. People are the essence of our business, and that includes you. And so I wish you a successful career here at Rappaport. And by the way, my email address is rap, R-A-P, @diamonds.net. I'm always open to suggestions. Anybody and everybody should feel free to contact me whenever you like with ideas, suggestions, yes, criticisms. That's all okay and acceptable.